Welcome, everybody. Today's 15th episode, believe it or not, of Placed in Shelter with your host, Ryan Catarozoli. Again, if you're catching this on YouTube, you can always join us live, be a part of the conversation, ask any questions that you'd like, as long as they're relative to the conversation and appropriate, of course, because I do enjoy my job. But you can always join us at 3 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday, simply by clicking the link in the description. And then, as always, everybody here, thank you so much for your support, and I really appreciate everybody showing up. And with that, we're actually going to have kind of a cool episode for you today. Those of you that stayed on a little later after recording ended have an idea of what today is going to bring. So today we're going to have what I'm going to be calling here a new section. We're going to have Get to Know Hatco. So in this section, we're actually going to start bringing on some Hatco people, perhaps sometimes from customer service, sometimes from advertising. Today, we're going to bring in somebody from our sales department and just give you an opportunity to get to know who's ever in our sales department. So today, I'm going to stop my sharing here because, again, I have a list of accolades here that I need to share with everybody. So number one, in high school, he was voted most likely to commandeer a scooter. And oddly enough, he also was voted most likely to crash said scooter. He's also known as a human Frogger champion until a practice gone wrong took him out of the game years ago. And he's also a self-proclaimed judge for the best brandy old fashioned in Milwaukee 5 years running. So with that, we're going to welcome Joe McAuliffe to the show. Joe, if you want to start sharing, there he is, everybody. Welcome, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I feel like the man behind the curtain in Wizard of Oz. You know, I'm usually blank screen, but stopping videos and muting everyone. So it's nice to show my face, I guess.
That's fantastic. So for those of you that don't know, Joe has been the moderator for all 15 episodes, I think with the exception of one when he had his own Instagram live show to do. And he's the one that's keeping everybody on track, making sure everybody's muted, making sure I don't get in trouble. So he's done a great job. But Joe, welcome from behind the curtain. And why don't you give us a brief introduction, who you are, what your job is, and how long you've been with Hatco?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I'm Joe McAuliffe. I've been with Hatco for over 5 years now. I'm a dealer sales manager. I cover everywhere from the Pacific Northwest to California and the Nevada territories, Hawaii, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and even the Ohio and Kentucky markets as well. Wow. So I'm kind of all over the place, but centrally located here in wonderful Wisconsin.
That's awesome. It really sounds like they've confined your territory to one generalized area.
The United States.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. North America, if you will. And Joe, obviously, we all kind of have an idea of what you do, but how would your parents describe what you do for a living?
So that's a great question. This is something that they absolutely struggle with. I think if you ask them, they tell you that I fly around the country and I go out to eat.
Fantastic. I would agree. I think my parents think I do the same thing. They're not quite sure exactly how we function over here. But moving on, what were you doing before you came to Hatco? What was your past?
So I kind of had an interesting past. Right before Hatco, I spent 6 months working for a bank. That's what got me to Wisconsin. But before that, I actually spent a year working out in the oil fields of North Dakota. I spent 6 months being what's called a roustabout, which is essentially a jack of all trades worker in the oil field. I did everything from construction to pipe fitting and plumbing. It was all manual labor outside, long hours, 7 days a week. And then I also spent 6 months being a truck driver. So I had a CDL and I would drive all the way, through North Dakota, South Dakota, Colorado, and Wyoming. So
wow. Do you still have your CDL?
You know what? I got rid of it because I was afraid if I kept it, they'd want me to do a Hatco roadshow. So I got rid of it as soon as possible.
We know how much fun those are. I'm sure Johnson Pike can attest to that. I know Austin's on right here. I didn't see anybody else, but I'm sure there's somebody else. They can tell you some good stories about their enterprise vehicles breaking down halfway between, Denver and New Mexico? So I'm sure they've got some fun stories there. Do you need a CDL to drive a bus?
That I'm not sure of. You might. I think it all depends on the size of the bus.
All right, because I was thinking we could open a speakeasy somewhere around here, and to keep the cars out of the parking lot, you'd be a great candidate to drive the bus and pick us all up.
See, I don't think I would be, because if there's any alcohol in a speakeasy, no one's going to want me behind the wheel. That's a recipe for disaster.
That's true. That is true. We do work at Hatco. Hey, Joe, what's the favorite thing? What's your favorite thing about your job?
You know, honestly, it's the travel and just being able to go to different parts of the country. You know, it's amazing that even though we're all in the United States of America, how vastly different each region is. So I definitely miss kind of getting out and being able to, you know, rub elbows with the locals and enjoy the local cuisines. You know, that is just the people. You know, it's the service industry. People are a lot of fun. You get the opportunity to break bread with a lot of really unique individuals. So this has been a bit of a challenge, you know, having to be at home behind a desk and not being able to get out and about.
I feel you on that one. So now I got to put you on the spot. What's your favorite place to be in the States?
Ooh, that's, you know, it's tough. It all depends on the time of year. You know, I definitely love going out to the Pacific Northwest. It's, you know, the food is fantastic. I love seafood, you know, and as you know, that train ride from Portland to Seattle is absolutely incredible. But you go down to places like New Orleans is fantastic. You know, even Ohio is okay sometimes. So California is great, especially during the winter months here in Wisconsin, to get a little bit of sun and warmer weather. So I really can't just pick one. They're all so unique in their different ways.
All right, that was very politically correct of you. Here's one. On a scale of 1 to 10, how mad did the Packers' first round draft pick make you?
Let's just say it was definitely a 10.
Okay.
My significant other was sleeping when that pick came through, and the loud obscenities that came out of my mouth caused her to run out and ask what the heck was going on. And it was
As
basically,
if something had terribly gone wrong. All right, let's get back to some real stuff here. What have you been doing to deal with quarantine on a work level as well as a personal level?
So on the work level, it has been a lot of, you know, what we're doing right now, a lot of Zoom meetings. I've spent a lot of time on my phone, probably more so now than I did before. I talk to a lot of my reps multiple times a day. And I think a lot of that just comes from not being able to get out and see them as you're doing territory trips. You're not seeing them at shows. So it's just a lot of communicating with the platforms that we have.
Sure. I can definitely second that. I know Lou, my boss, had given me a point a couple of weeks ago when this whole thing first started. And he said, if you get an email, don't even bother emailing back. Obviously, you can do that to keep some records, but just pick up the phone and give them a call. So definitely a new way of thinking over here, maybe an older sales strategy, if you will. Moving on from that, what's the first thing you're going to do when you get out of quarantine?
Honestly, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go get some sushi.
Ooh.
I can cook at home. I can cook steak, burgers, chicken, pasta, you name it. But the one thing that I can't make sushi at home.
You don't even have to cook it, Joe.
Well, yeah, but I don't know how to roll it. That's and knowing me, I would probably get the wrong fish and I'd end up sick. So it's that's what I'm looking forward to. That, and I can't. You know, it's getting summertime here in Wisconsin. I want to go to a baseball game. I had tickets to opening day. I want to sit down with a stale beer and a cold brat and just watch some baseball.
I hear you there. It's amazing. You think summer's right around the corner, but what is it today? It feels like 32 degrees out. It's just above freezing, it feels like.
Yeah.
So here's one, and now I know some of your consultants and some of your reps are on, but here's one to put them on the spot. What are some of the best practices that you've seen from your reps, your consultants or customers, that you could share perhaps some best practices with the rest of us on the show?
Honestly, it's just been having an open line of communication. It was funny, I actually was talking with one of my reps yesterday, and he said that a customer had yelled at him because he was maybe pushing some products that weren't necessarily relevant to this time right off the bat. So it's trying to find that balance of being available and providing those services that they need. But you know, I have some dealers that have said no to any Zoom meetings or trainings because their people are out following up on emails and trying to develop business where they can. So sure. I think the best thing to do is just to, understand what their needs are, have that open line of communication, and be that resource for them when it's needed.
Awesome. Great answer. Great answer. So I've got one for you. Talking about Hatco U's now, we always dread them, or so we say, when it's like day 3 of a Hatco U. But right now I'm really missing them. And my question to you is, how was it taking over the toaster presentation from the world-renowned Toaster Boy? I mean, was there a lot of pressure? Did he treat you like Brett Favre treated Aaron Rodgers?
So, anytime that you replace a legend, there's always some pressure. I equate it to Steve Young taking over for Joe Montana, Aaron Rodgers taking over for Brett Favre. So there was definitely some pressure at first. Dan was actually, to his credit, he was fantastic. I think he struggled with it more than I did. I remember after he watched my first presentation, he said he wasn't going to watch another one again. It was just too painful for him to sit back and hear someone else give it. But, he was obviously a great resource, and I learned, I guess, everything that I know about toasting from Dan.
Wow. Okay. Well, great. That's great to hear that he didn't just give you the Brett Favre treatment. How about some fun questions here? Have you seen Tiger King, this big craze on Netflix?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Well, then, in your opinion, obviously, did Carol Baskin feed her second husband to the Tigers, or did she just bury him underneath the septic tank?
She absolutely fed him to the Tigers. I mean, there was one episode where she talks, if you really want to get a tiger going to potentially eat somebody, it's sardine oil?
Sardine oil.
Way too specific. Way too specific of an answer to give unless you have some firsthand experience with it.
That's awesome. How about what character would best represent you? Because I'm thinking I'd be the girl who had her arm ripped off and went back to work within a week. That's awesome. That shows some dedication right there. I'd like to think that's me.
So, there's kind of two. I guess I could kind of relate with Joe Exotic just because we share a first name. Actually, I have a rep group right now that only refers to me now as Hatco Joe Exotic. So it's funny seeing those emails. But also, I guess I can relate to John Finley, the guy that only had the 3 front teeth, because, you mentioned my Frogger passed and I messed up one time, and let's just say we had a very similar smile.
That's awesome. I believe that picture actually won you a national contest as well.
An international contest for a photo.
International. See, that should have been in your accolades. We should have actually had the picture. So for those of you that want to see the picture, you've got to get with Joe sometime. He has it. I've seen it. It's really good.
It's interesting.
And
that's
then,
for sure.
We're coming up on time here. So I've got one last one. First, that's going to be favorite Hatco piece of equipment and why.
So I guess I could take the easy route and say toasters, since they're the product category that I manage. But I'm going to say our GR5, our 5th generation Glow Ray. Just like the TQ3, we took a product that we've sold and manufactured for decades, and we really gave it a refresh. The curved housing, the LED lights, having that dual color option where you can match the color temperature to the temperature of the food product you're serving. It's the tried and true Kelrod element, so you have great performance. And then all the colors you get to add to the housing, I just think that is a fantastic look for a piece of equipment. So awesome. I'm gonna go with the GR5.
I think that could be a topic in itself in one of our upcoming episodes. So great choice there.
Yeah.
And then I have to ask, I don't mean to pry, but you don't by any chance have 6 fingers on your right hand, do you?
6 fingers on my right foot.
Oh, okay. All right. I was just checking.
Yeah.
And with that, we're actually going to wrap it up here. Great conversation, Joe. I really appreciate you coming on. We want to open it up to a question and answer session, though, with everybody. Now, it looks like our chat's been blowing up, and with our moderator not being able to watch them, it might take us a second here to try to read through them. Oh, do you need a CDL to ride motorized scooters?
It depends if you are riding it illegally or legally.
Oh, okay. All right. I believe hashtag Tua. I think he was there for that fateful evening.
I think he was.
Nice. Let's see what else we got here. When is Rodgers' last day?
You know what? It's he's got 4 more years on his deal, so that's part of what was a little confusing with the pick last night. But I saw one comment to not worry too much. But we've got an open window. I hope he's here for 4 years, and I also hope the quarterback we picked yesterday, if he becomes the new Aaron Rodgers, then can give us another 10 to 15 years of great quarterback play, I'll take it.
Well, on the bright side, Joe, this will be recorded, so there's going to be documented proof that we were not happy. So when he's a star and we try to get behind the Jordan Love movement, they're going to go,
Someone's going to dig it back up for sure.
That's what happens when we put things out in the public realm. So we have to be backing what we say. Let's see. What's the key to a successful scooter heist from Nathan?
Well, I think you just have to be at the right place at the right time. It's being opportunistic. If you see the opportunity, you just have to seize it.
Nice. Nick, can Joe confirm that the best wings he's ever had is Wild Mike's?
You know what? Those are some pretty good wings. I'll have to say they're definitely in my top 3.
Ooh, top 3.
Yeah.
Well, you'll have to ask more questions or get in touch with Joe to find out what the other 2 in the top 3 are. He does have some extensive travel experience in eating out. So with that, it looks like it's going to wrap up the question and answer. Unless you guys have another one, go ahead and put it in there. But while we're waiting, I'm going to share my screen once again. And I added some memes today. So these ones actually came in from, once again, Charlene Brennis at Hatco, and then also Joe McAuliffe submitted one. So the first one here, why are all the humans wearing muzzles? Did they all bite somebody? I thought that was pretty good, knowing how my dog just loves looking outside. Here's another one for today. It's Friday. What day is it? Friday. What are we going to do? Going out. Where are we going? To the patio, because that's as far as we can go. And then last but not least, this one here. When this is all over, we are throwing the biggest St. Pat's Easter de Mayo Bash of July ever. And it's going to be an epic party. Bar sales are going to be through the roof. So that's it for the memes. It looks like a couple of chats came through. Any other questions? No. Yeah, exactly, Carmen. We're not going out on the patio in Wisconsin. It's rather cold out today. So with that, we're going to wrap up our 15th episode. Joe, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Again, if you're watching on YouTube, you can always be a part of the conversation live 3 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. If you do hit the bell notification, it will let you know every time that Hatco posts a new video. And show us you're enjoying the content by liking, sharing, and subscribing. And with that, have a great weekend, everybody.